Hello YouTube, this is Wadres back again, and today I am doing or I should say redoing, my video on the Tier 8 French Premium Destroyer, the Le Terrible. And, well, as some of you may have noticed, my audio was kind of crappy on the previous iteration of this video, but today I am working on a new computer. I am working with a brand new microphone. So hopefully everything comes out a lot clearer and a lot better, and just eliminates a lot of the problems that I was having. I have also made a point of kicking both cats out of my work area so that I'm not arguing with either of them over the course of the video production either. But anyway, now that we've had a quick look around of the Le Terrible in the spaceport, which gives us a very, very good idea of what she looks like at all angles, both above and below the water, I will start going into the ship breakdown again, which she has 18,600 hit points, which is a pretty decent health pool for a Tier 8 destroyer. She has her main armament of 5 139mm cannons, which benefit fully from AFT and BFT, and they do have a pretty decent reload characteristics. She has a 4.5 second reload, and they have a 2,000 maximum HE shell damage and 2,700 maximum AP shell damage. And they also have an 11% chance of fire on target. For her torpedoes, they are fairly decent. She has 3 triple launchers, 2 only can be fired per side. They reload every 77 seconds, and they have a maximum damage of 18,400. They are reasonably quick with a maximum speed of 65 knots, and they reach out to 8 kilometers. So they are capable of hitting targets at a fairly decent range, but in my opinion, you aren't really using that range all that much. And while she does have an AA suite, it's an AA rating of 9 at Tier 8, you're really not talking about much of anything there. But for the Le Terrible, her primary trait is her speed. Now, with the speed flag on, she's getting 45.1 knots. With it removed, her max speed is 43 knots, which puts her perfectly in line with the fastest ships in the game, capable of... I'm looking primarily at the Russian destroyers. I think the Kiev and a couple of others. Forgive the cough, I am still getting over a little bit of the after effects of a cold, I should say. And she otherwise does have a 690-meter turning circle and 3.4 second rudder shift with a rudder mod installed. And for her detectability, and this is what a lot of people are kind of going off about with her, among other things, she has a 6.6 kilometer surface detection range with all concealment modules and skills taken, which is it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. And she is also seen at 3.7 kilometers from the air and 3.4 kilometers in smoke, though you will find that you're not really relying too much on that smoke number because she has no smoke consumable. So unless you're hiding in the smoke of another destroyer, yeah, you're not really holding off too much on your smoke. But as far as other things go, she does have the phenomenal 20% French speed boost, and her primary trait is that she has the French main battery reload booster, which reduces the reload time of the main battery by 50% for, I think it's 20 seconds on this one. I would have to backtrack and look again. But overall, it's really not too bad as far as her firepower. But one thing that people have noticed is that it's very situational. And of course, my module build is pretty much similar to all of my other ships. Main armaments mod 1, propulsion mod 1, aiming systems mod 1, steering gears mod 2, and concealment system mod 1. I am also running this ship with the premium French commander, or unique French commander, Jean-Jacques Honoré, who is running with priority target, preventative maintenance, Expert Marksman, Adrenaline Rush, Last Stand, Basic Firing Training, and Concealment Expert. And the nice things about this commander is that he benefits from a boosted Adrenaline Rush skill and Expert Marksman skill. The Adrenaline Rush is a 0.25% to increase to reload time for every 1% health loss, as opposed to the base 0.2. And she does also benefit from a plus 3 degree per second rotation speed on her turrets, which is good because as the base ship, her turrets really don't turn all that quickly. So yeah, it's nice having the substantially faster turret traverse. And overall, she's not really as far as I've noticed, sorry again with the coughing, as far as I've noticed, she is really not that bad a ship. The problem is that people are trying to get her to conform to other standards of destroyer play that she really doesn't work well with. She has torpedo range, but she's not really meant to be a torpedo sniper. She does have the Mayhan's torpedo arrangement, so it's not like you can get all three of these torpedo launchers off on one side at a time. But you're actually relying on the high alpha damage of the torpedoes to actually get anything done, because while you may only have 3 torpedoes per side, you do have fairly highly damaging torpedoes. These aren't like the Russian sort of mediocre damage torpedoes. So there is that. But the other thing is, while she does have the powerful 139mm guns, they do have a slow reload, so you're not really wanting to use her as a open water gunboat destroyer either, because she does not have the smoke consumable to get herself out of trouble if she absolutely has to. You're relying on adjusting her detectability as low as possible and just kind of keeping yourself in concealment via islands or whatever. Which brings up the point that this ship is meant for an ambush destroyer build. She's not meant to fit any of the known destroyer metas that exist in-game right now. And I think that's the problem that people are having with her, is that they're trying to get her to conform to roles that she really does not do well in at all. And I'm also having to call out some of the community contributors, Flamu specifically, for a couple of his videos on her, specifically for that reason. all I was seeing in his video that was absolutely bashing this ship was that he was trying to play her as a gunboat. That wasn't working, so he tried playing her as a torpedo boat. That wasn't working. So he tried switching back and forth between the two, and that wasn't working either. And, well, I kind of have to call him out on that because, again, he wasn't doing the one thing that this ship actually is supposed to do. She is supposed to hide behind islands undercover and take advantage of her very phenomenal speed to pop out on targets and ambush them while they are at least very, very unaware of your presence. And, well, it's one of those things that just kind of has to be taken into consideration overall, because again, she has very good directional mobility in her actual speed, but she does not have a great amount of capability in regards to maneuvering to mitigate damage, aside from the fact that she does have a pretty decent rudder shift. She does have a fairly wide turning circle, and her detectability isn't the greatest, so you do kind of want to keep her just kind of in that situational zone where you're not firing unless you're in that ambush zone. You're not dropping torpedoes unless you're in that ambush zone. With this ship, your primary counterplay is just using your speed to keep yourself out of detection range and use it to get into cover behind islands quickly before you are really spotted. And just using that speed again to dodge, weave, and whatever to get yourself into cover, like what I'm doing right here. If I were in a substantially slower destroyer, I would not have been able to get in behind this island before I was just absolutely destroyed. But with the Leteri Bull, I can get in there with half of my health still intact. Granted, I'm on fire, but my health is still intact. And otherwise I've gotten myself into the position that I wanted to be in now, which is I'm set up, I'm ready to ambush targets that come my way. Now, the other thing, and this is where the other point on this video specifically comes in, is that I am set up where, first off, all of the enemy team's ships are coming towards me. I don't know what was going on with me in this Graf Spee, but we were apparently very enticing targets. And this is where the Leteri Bull kind of starts shining, because I am in that beautiful ambushing position and just waiting for ships to come into my range, into my firing zone, where I can just wreak all kinds of havoc with them. The enemy Baltimore, I mean, that's going to eat torpedoes here very, very shortly, because I dropped torpedoes from concealment, and I was back in concealment before it got me spotted. And now, I have the enemy Graf Spee, which is just about the only cruiser that's on this section of the island, and I'm going to pop out, I'm going to use my main battery reload booster, and I am just going to very quickly melt it with Citadel hits, among other things, and it just had nothing that it could do. I mean, it dropped torpedoes on me, and under that circumstance, that was really about the only thing it could do to try and deal with me, because its guns weren't facing at me, its guns couldn't turn around quickly enough to face me, and I didn't give it a chance. I ambushed it, and it had no way of dealing with me. And again, same with the Cleveland that's coming around the corner up here now, in that the torpedoes, it has, I mean, it knew I was there from the Graf Spee at least, but again, these torpedoes are fairly quick, and as long as my torpedoes were aimed right, it had nothing that it could do about me. And I was already moving quickly on getting the enemy Colorados as well, and the Colorados even have just some trouble dealing with me, aside from the fact that their secondaries are working me over pretty hard, because their guns can't turn around fast enough to track me. So yeah, I mean, overall, the Leteri Bull is definitely a very capable ship under the right circumstances. But, again, they have to be the right circumstances. She has to be used as that ambush destroyer role. She is not... If you try to play her as any of the known destroyer metas, even as the new Royal Navy destroyer meta, which is the defensive, short-lived smoke meta, that whole run-and-gun destroyer meta that's kind of come into light with the Brit destroyers, she's not going to fit those setups just because that's not her role. And one of the things that I was talking about this same point in the previous iteration of this video was that I had been talking with one of my clanmates about the Leteri Bull, and one of the things that we noted was that, especially with like the French battleships, which is, their role is actually pretty much similar to that of the Leteri Bull and the French cruisers, in that they kind of fit that national flavor, and this is actually something that came up as an epiphany from playing the Leteri Bull, is that these ships are meant for ambush roles. Now, people have gotten used to playing them in such a fashion and so well that they are doing marginally well in roles other than as ambush ships, but Just because you're playing them well wrong doesn't mean that that's the role they're supposed to fill. Again, it just means that you've gotten so used to playing them wrong so well that you're doing well. And when you're talking about something like a battleship, that's a little bit different because they're pretty much damage sponges, and while they do follow that national flavor, so to speak, they don't hurt from trying to fill roles that normally they wouldn't do well in. But when you're talking a destroyer, something with a small health pool that's a little bit more fragile, they really don't benefit from that sort of same situation. They really require that the players use them in the same regard as they are intended. So when they aren't being used under that ambush role or that defensive role or that long-range torp snipe role, whatever it is they're supposed to have, they suffer. They suffer very badly for it. Anyway, I suppose while this battle finishes off, I will apologize for my, I suppose I should say, absence over the last week. And that's primarily because last week, about the time I would have been doing my videos, I was fighting off a cold, which that's why I'm coughing and everything in the background here right now. Sorry. Like I said. And it's just, yeah, it's been a bear and a half. But I really did not want to sound like a stuffed up mess, to not put it lightly, while I was trying to do my YouTube videos. Anyway, just going through the battle results: 77,892 damage, 182 credits earned, 2,814 experience points, and the 4-goal hull medal. Overall, definitely not bad results for a Tier 8 destroyer that has no smoke at all. Again, and that's just because instead of trying to conform her to roles that she wasn't meant to fill, I used her the way she was supposed to be used. I used her for that ambush role, and it came out very well for me. 531 base experience points earned, 4 ship kills. Again, not bad at all. And this is coming from a ship that a lot of people are bashing very, very heavily, saying that it's a terrible ship, that it's horrible. I beg to differ. I think they're just using it wrong, and because they're using it wrong and they don't understand that they are using it wrong, that they're just trying to cover up, I guess I could say, their inadequacy by blaming the ship for it. So yeah, there it is. I've come out and I've said it directly. For the detail report, I mean, again, I may not have done stellar amounts of damage to some of these ships, but I did decisive amounts of damage, and it definitely played out very much in my favor. Yeah, 42,000 damage from HE shell, or from main battery shells, 35,000 damage overall from torpedoes. And I mean, I did fair amounts of damage to all ships. I think I averaged, well, with the exception of the 18,000 I did on that Graf Spee, I did an average of about 12,000 damage on every ship that I took interest in. And those 2 Colorados especially. If I hadn't played the role that I meant to, in fact, it's probably a little bit because that I abandoned that ambush role, that I did so little to these Colorados. But anyway, that's beside the point. Coming to the final details, I earned 145,000 credits for the match and 2,862 commander experience points. Anyway, on that note, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I hope to be doing substantially better within the next few days. And beyond that, I hope to catch you all again later.